This is an SM Media production.
Welcome, folks, to Sunday at Euro 2024. I'm Scott McPike. I wish it was a pleasure to be doing the show. It always is a pleasure to be talking to my special guest tonight, but I don't know. I don't know how we're going to get through this, to be honest. But we have to go forward. We have to move on. It's a pleasure to welcome one of my favourite people to talk about football with, and I think tonight it'll be a very interesting conversation. It is a pleasure to welcome Stewart Ross.
Thanks, mate. I was going to say, like I said there just before I come on, you've picked a belter for me to come on. So yeah, we'll pick through what we can just now. But yeah, it's we're just recording this 5 to 10 minutes after, so yeah, might be a wee bit raw.
Yeah, and that's obviously the thing we're recording after games. Look, when we usually talk, Stuart, we usually have a kind of couple of days to kind of assess and look at watch games back and look at different things. We are recording this literally after the game. Literally, we've not even this. I mean, it's 10 past 10, so we're literally about 10 minutes after the game. Probably as sore a night following Scotland as I've ever had. I don't have the France '98, Euro '96 thing. This is as sore a night as I can remember.
Yeah, I think it's just because I think that it was there. There was, and obviously we'll kind of try and break down the game as well, but the game was there as well. I think even at half time, where it wasn't a great first half at all, but you're thinking, a few changes, maybe tweak a couple of things. That the game's there, and obviously pushed for it towards the end, but you just kind of immediate kind of thought is just not done enough there, not done enough to, obviously it's a gut punch at the end, isn't it? But even the draw is realistically not going to be enough 2 points. You need to go for it. It did go for it to an extent. Surprised with some of the subs and how we went about doing that, but yeah, I think anyone that's watched Scotland for long enough will know that this is kind of bad for the sports, unfortunately. But it's a pretty sore one. I think just the whole kind of having got not over that, but having got that positive result after Germany and having that much improved performance, and then going into this game knowing Hungary hadn't picked up a point, knowing that it's there now to get the 4 points to absolutely secure. The 2 points is there, but like I say, it was realistically never going to be enough. I don't think it will be enough. Might not, 3 points might not even be enough for Hungary there. So you needed to win, and it was, like I say, just not enough on the night to deserve it, I don't think.
Let's obviously break the game down. Obviously, the only change that was made for Scotland was obviously the enforced one, which is McKenna for Tierney. I'm not surprised. Again, a lot of people were screaming, including myself, for Forrest to come in, give you some width, give you some sort of kind of different approach down the right side. First half, Stuart. Before we get into Scotland, although Hungary have won the game, right, and obviously Marco Rossi will come out and say the approach worked, and it has. I was so surprised the way Hungary set up. They just set up to be probably understandable looking at the way kind of Scotland's game went, as try and break us down and we'll capitalise on any defensive mistake. And that is kind of how it worked. I know it took longer than that, but I was very surprised Hungary set up that way. I thought Hungary would be very open, but you can argue it's worked. But what did you think of the way Hungary approached the game?
I thought it surprised probably Scotland. I think it surprised Clark and probably the staff and the players how they've set up. I think they would have been expecting them thinking, got no points, then you go out and win. But they had the game plan to try and probably looking at Scotland going, give us a ball, because we're not great build up, we're not great kind of working it kind of through the pitch. So that's probably Scotland are best at kind of counter and kind of set pieces, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, probably to the extent of which they sat off, probably a bit surprised, but they that was obviously the game plan, and they've had the post there as well, and they've had more shots. I think they've certainly had took Scotland until I think it was one shot, nothing. It wasn't on target. Just after the hour mark, I don't know quite what it ended, but yeah, I think it would be surprised at how. I think most people are kind of anticipating a kind of open game. I think Scotland would have been more the team that would have been doing that, kind of sitting off a wee bit. But yeah, surprised at how they kind of went about it, and I don't think they had a lot of quality either when they had done more. They had one or two bits, but not a huge amount either. So yeah, pretty surprised, and let's say I think it kind of spooked Scotland, and I think after probably for the first 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20, kind of kept the ball okay, kind of decent tempo. But I think the longer the half went on, almost kind of not running out of ideas, but just kind of pace kind of dropped a bit and the tempo dropped a bit. And that from that kind of point on, you're thinking, I know we had kind of chances towards the end, but that's obviously when we're going for it, but never kind of had a sustained period of kind of pressure on their goal. I don't think much after that, to be honest, or even before that. But yeah, I think the approach probably from them has probably kind of spooked Scotland a bit, and that's maybe what's kind of how the game's then kind of played out from there.
Scotland recorded a 0.00 XG in the first half, which again, we read into stats probably a lot more than people listening will, which again, if it was a 0.00 XG in Scotland through, no, it wouldn't have mattered a jot. But Stuart, when it's so glaringly obvious that there is problems in front of goal and then the stats back that up, it kind of tells the tale of the first half. I thought I've been very, very disappointed in McGinn first two games. I thought tonight, first half, he was really good. He was holding the ball up well, very powerful, showing you just basically why he is so important. Adams, there was points in the game, points in the first half, I thought Adams held the ball up well, but he's just not that player. He's not the guy to lead a line in that sort of environment. McTominay wasn't really getting much scraps as well. Gilmer, we'll get into kind of Gilmer McGregor in a minute because I think it's an important point in terms of the kind of approach in the second half, but there isn't a lot of quality up there. And you need Adams to be holding the ball up, and he wasn't overly. I thought first half, there were wee bits where I thought, right, I can see changes in the second half quickly. But first half, I just thought it was good having the ball. I think it was 64% possession at half time. Keeping the ball, I thought Scotland were fine. I thought defensively they were very, very solid, but literally just keeping the ball and nothing was happening. And that's kind of how the first half went, to be honest. And Hungary were quite happy just to sit and take advantage of loose scraps, which didn't really come, but they felt it was only a matter of time.
Yeah, like I say, I thought McGinn as well was kind of probably someone kind of going to mention because, like I say, he's probably I don't know disappointing, but not being as involved as we've seen him involved for Scotland in the first two games. Like I say, a lot more kind of involved, a lot more kind of he looked their kind of best outlet. But yeah, I thought what Hungary done well, it's probably something that know before they just kind of closed off that middle of the pitch. I think they had kind of because they had kind of two in behind, kind of like Scotland because mentioned a lot of people mentioned that kind of similar kind of setups, but they had that they had the striker and they had the kind of one of the. In fact, the striker was almost coming in next to that. There was a guy, Callum Styles, one of the centre mids, kind of jumping up. So those two were just kind of sitting, kind of blocking off that kind of pass into Gilmore and McGregor. And then you had the kind of two wider attacking midfielders kind of outside of them, kind of stopping centre backs building too much. So I thought they dealt with that really well. I thought obviously the problem is not moving it quick enough to move that around and disrupt it. But I thought their setup was pretty good. Like I say, it's maybe a bit surprising how kind of not negative, but maybe kind of negative in terms of they were quite happy they weren't going to press.
They've clearly done their homework
like
in Scotland in terms of they've seen the way Scotland approach. They do find it difficult to break sides down. The only really joy they've had is against teams like Spain, where it has been very open. They've clearly done their homework and it's worked. But like, there's obviously points in the game. Second half, Hungary had a good wee spell as soon as the kind of second half went. And then Scotland do grow into the game. We've obviously got that really bad incident in the box, which, again, kind of best wishes to Vargas. It's probably as brutal a thing as I've ever seen, because I've seen a couple of replays on it. Nobody touches him. So it's scary.
No, that
It's
was the thing
very
that's
scary.
probably the scariest thing. But and that kind of, these things always kind of stop kind of the momentum in the game and all that kind of thing, and it just kind of, not that these things can happen at any time, but it did kind of, I can keep with the game, that it just kind of slowed things down. I thought that the ref was a load of fouls tonight, a lot of cards. That disrupted the game. It was just a real lack of rhythm and a lack of quality as well, like I said, both sides. So yeah, it just that kind of, I think, and even when we did kind of get it, maybe break that first line, even after that, it was still a bit too slow. It was still a bit too surprised that it took so long for Christie to come in, that a bit of energy, somebody who's got a bit of risk in their passing as well, but maybe a bit too safe with McGregor and Gilmore. I know we kind of maybe touch on that a wee bit more shortly, but the two of them great on the ball and good kind of keeping possession, but and both good forward passers, but you need somebody that bit more risk, I think. So again, supporting top more, but I thought the substitutions and the way that he tried to go about, obviously we're going to go for it at some point ourselves, but the way we went about that was a bit strange in terms of taking Robertson off, McLean going to left back. It just, there's going for it, and you're putting risk into the game, you're going to leave gaps, but it felt a bit more chaotic than it probably needed to be at that point as well. But yeah, just a wee bit all over the shop, but that's probably again in keeping with the night as well.
On Gilmore and McGregor, I think it is important to say that probably Neil McCann made a good point in commentary, and I think it maybe Shearer made the point at half time. Scotland's, in terms of first passes, were pretty good, but the second pass it just immediately slowed down. And it's only really Gilmore and McGregor that are giving you that technique. If you're going to set up with a flat five at the back at times and rely on your midfield, you have to have technically gifted players, and it's only really Gilmore and McGregor that give you that. But when they've obviously got hesitancy to play it forward because, for the reasons we've obviously mentioned, but like Hungary's approach is very much, you could see that tonight, Hungary's very much approach as everybody else is kind of feeding Szoboszlai, right? Szoboszlai, there was times in the game where he was getting no set, he was able to go on the ball, but there was a couple of times where he just turned the shoulder and just created that space for himself. That's what good players do. That's why Hungary probably got the result tonight, because like they've got a player like that. That's Scotland's, apart from the goals thing that we'll touch on as well, but I do think Scotland's big problem is that technically wise, we just don't have the players, and that's something that I think has been a problem for a long time. There are players there who are very physical, good in the air, solid, but in terms of technique, Gilmore aside, I don't really see anybody that's got the passing range, get the ball retention that you need at this level.
No, knowing that kind of forward, more naturally attacking area, because obviously it goes with like some, again, McTominay in those advanced areas, and obviously they're playing at a really high level in terms of Premier League, and they're good players, but they're not naturally they're attacking, and they've got their kind of like that kind of power and all that sort of stuff, but that kind of that guile, that kind of proper attacking midfielder, creative kind of player. That's again maybe a bit of a difference there, but yeah, it feels a wee bit like this is worked up to a point in the system. I think you probably have to give him a bit of a pass in terms of the amount of, to an extent anyway, in terms of who's missing. I know look, the Tony Ralston thing, I think, has been done to death. For Celtic.
I don't think he was bad tonight.
I didn't think he was bad. I didn't think he was bad in pretty much. I know the Germany game, I think you just kind of go, right, okay, fine. that can happen. You get a man sent off, all that kind of thing. I thought Switzerland game as well. Mistake aside, and you know that he wasn't the only. People would make the point. In terms of, I remember who it was that addressed that in terms of Hendry and the other centre back should have been dropped off to give him the option. I thought again tonight, like you say, fine. You know what you're going to get with Alston, and you're he's not a natural wing back though either.
No.
It's not, he's probably in the best kind of being patronising a limited player. But if when he's played at Celtic, he's played in a really, I'm not saying Scotland, but a system that he knows inside out.
It's a flat four. It's a flat four.
You're always flat four. You've got a lot less time to work on things. Whereas Celtic, been there for a long time. He knows what's expected. He kind of probably knows he's kind of placed in the pecking order there as well. So to throw him into these things, into that tournament, but you think, if you had Hickey there, if you had Lewis Ferguson to offer you something different in midfield, again, maybe more that kind of pace power type, but something different, a wee bit more quality, or just another bit of quality that you could have put in there. You're talking about up front as well. Dykes probably would have been, I would imagine, would have been first pick possibly. So you've got to give a wee bit of pass here, but you just wonder, is it a bit too kind of stuck to that system? Do we, like, for example, tonight maybe you change to you go to a 4 and get an extra man in the middle, or get more natural width and get more width on the side rather than just having the two wing backs. And you've got one of them there in Ralston who's not his natural position, and he's already probably not a player that would have been playing if one or two others had been fit. So I just think we would have liked to have seen a wee bit more kind of flexibility in the kind of setup, and maybe that's kind of held them back to an extent, because this was a game that you needed to go after at some point. I know we did, but from the start, I think maybe could have had something a wee bit different that would have given them some different anchor. Because I think, like we've said, they knew what Scotland were going to do, and they were going to. If you let Scotland on the ball, not really going to do much. Well, not do much. You know what I mean? Just kind of not got that ability to kind of pick teams apart on the ball. So yeah, I think, like I say, it would have been good to see something maybe a wee bit different, and maybe something going forward. Is this a formula that can work at these tournaments? I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of how they say 10, 15 minutes after a game, it would be thinking about that stuff. It's quite difficult.
Yeah, that's probably as well kind of something for later on. But in terms of obviously the subs, Armstrong, he brings on obviously Armstrong from McGinn, which I kind of understood. I understood that. And again, Shankland for Adams probably should have been made as well earlier. And Armstrong does bring a different view of the game, brings a different approach to midfield. And I did think for a kind of 5-10 minute spell, Scotland were a lot more aggressive in terms of trying to get something going in an attacking sense. There is obviously a penalty incident. I have seen it from two angles. Again, we are recording this just after the game. I'm scrolling through my messages that have been sent. I'm scrolling through Twitter as well. There's a lot of people saying there's different angles. It does look like a penalty. It's one of those. I'm surprised VAR doesn't have a look at it. But again, I'm very, very unsure. I thought the ref was a bit chaotic tonight. Like, I do think there was a very Willie Collum performance. He seemed to lose control very quickly. But overall, that's not how Scotland lost the game tonight. Scotland lost the game because it was Jinky did set up for a draw, and this is where I'm probably going to be harsh on Clark, because if you're setting up for a draw tonight, you're relying on luck. And as a Scotland manager, when has luck ever worked out? But not just that as well. He's obviously relying on not to get beat. But what you then don't do is take your left back off with 2 minutes to go in normal time. And then Hungary have chances before they score. Hungary hit the post, a really good save for Angus Gunn, all coming down that left-hand side. Now, I don't think Robertson is at his best tournament. I think even he'll admit that. I think he knows that himself. But I thought the subs, just in terms of the timing of them, I thought the subs tonight were very, very weird, just in terms of what he did. Don't have a fault with the players that come on. It was just kind of what he, like McGregor probably, I thought McGregor was really, really struggling towards the end up. McTominay kind of looked, was on a booking as well. He was in a tightrope with the last few minutes as well. I don't know. It's sore now. It's probably going to be a bit different over the next couple of days. But people know my opinion of Steve Clarke. I don't like him personally. I don't like his approach to this tournament. I can't help but think this is self-inflicted.
Yeah, a wee bit. Like you said, you felt like it was there for taking, but just being a wee bit more proactive. What was it? Just like 76 minutes first sub.
Yeah.
This is a tournament, a high intensity tournament after a full long season with 5 subs. I think can be utilising that a lot better. That's making one or
And a
two
26-man squad as well.
Yeah, well, that's using one or two, and when you've not actually made a lot of changes to the starting 11
Yep.
over the games, other than Pochis, which is enforced, and Tierney, which is also enforced. So I think if you look across probably but most of the other teams will have made more. Germany probably stick to what they've got. I think they had the exact same starting lineup again tonight, but I think most other teams would make again. They probably, and again here I'll stick up for him to an extent in terms of the injuries. You know, if you had like Hickey, Ferguson, Dykes, you've got more options. But I think 76 minutes is probably too late. In terms of Shankland as well, it's not a lot of time to do much, and I thought he'd done well when he come on as well. In terms of talking about Adams, I think Shankland gives you a wee bit more guile, a wee bit more. But tonight we knew going to have to score a goal at some point as well. He gives you he's a more natural goal scorer, so kind of surprised that he didn't start any of the games, and particularly surprised he didn't start tonight. The Robertson one is just odd because I could understand obviously if Tierney was there or somebody like that, you're a natural left back that you could, but Kenny McLean looked like someone that never played left back in his life. He probably hasn't.
And I saw Liam McLeod explaining he's played left centre back. He's played left back in the past for Norwich. I've never seen him at left back, and
he didn't look like a guy that had practiced that kind of position much. And that's probably unfair on him, to be honest.
No, it's totally not on him.
But just because I was like put him on initially in the kind of midfield with his natural position, and then kind of chop things again to put him on. And I thought Morgan. I'm not sure about that one.
I didn't get it either. I didn't get. It's the tight. I didn't get. I don't know if Morgan coming on. But it was the minute. It was the timing. It was the same the other night as well. Bringing Shankland on with a minute to go, I was like, there's literally no point in that. I don't have an issue with bringing on. I don't really have an issue with anybody took off. Like, it's more.
No, I think Gilmore's race was run as well. I thought he probably could have come off earlier, actually.
Yeah, it's more the timing of the changes and the expecting them to make an impact in such a short space of time. You could see at that point, though, Hungary were always just feeding off, waiting on a chance to come. They finally get their chance. It's a nice finish, to be fair, and it just sums up just what I think. I think this has been a totally, not a total disaster, because there was a bit shown in the second game, but to start so poorly in the first game, to really open yourself up against the host nation who were growing into the tournament, coming in, their flair players were looking to get a real good start. I don't think any other team would have approached Germany the way Scotland did. Play a bit better second game. Again, you could argue Switzerland probably had chances as well to win the game, but a good point. And then tonight, you really, 2 points wouldn't have been enough. I put a tweet out just before the final whistle. I said, if this is the way it's going to go, you're relying on Spain, Italy, Turkey, Portugal to win all their games, and hope goal difference goes your way. Yeah. Like, it's not. If that was the plan, that's a disgrace. There's no other word to say it. That was a plan to play tonight for a draw and try and scrape through with 2 points. Then sorry, we don't have the right mentality for tournament football, because you could argue Hungary's method tonight worked, because they're probably probably going to get through. Like the way I think their goal difference I think is -3. They probably need a lot of luck as well. They'll probably need something similar, but they kept going. Scotland didn't have any. Scotland can't have any complaints. Like I've not seen Clark's interview yet. As I say, we're recording this after the game. I haven't seen it yet. I'm kind of glad I'm not going to see it before this because I think it would have just fueled a fire. But overall, Stuart, just really, really disappointing. It's a sore one. I feel for the guys that are out there. I know a lot of people that are out there who are. I mean, one thing we can say is that the support was unbelievable, but again, just overall, can't help but think it's just been an absolute total gut punch this whole campaign.
It just ends kind of ends almost as it started, getting a really sore one in the first game, and then a really sore one at the end there. So yeah, I think it's like we've kind of said a couple of times. I think once things kind of settle down the next few days, next few weeks, I think we'll be thinking about what's kind of where does this kind of team go next? Where does this kind of whether he wants to keep going or whether he feels he's taken team as much as far as he can go or whatever. I'm sure that SFA want to keep him as long as he wants to be there, but I don't know if like can I say it's hard because it's I haven't got to these tournaments regular for a long time, and now we are getting to them, and you get that bit like, well, we want to, like you say, we've got the fans that make these tournaments what they are, but we've not got the team to kind of back that up. So it's all the plaudits to get there, and can you make an impact? And we've had two now under him. We're brilliant to get there, but I think most people would kind of say we've probably got a better quality of player than we've had for a wee while.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we shouldn't be beating Spain, we shouldn't be beating Norway. Probably those are fantastic results and all credit there. But when you get there, 2 draws out of 6 games, it's like you say, there's maybe a bit of a different approach when we do get to the tournament. That we go right, well, we need to kind of attack this group. We can't sit and think right, we'll pick up four points. Let's get 4 points somewhere, or let's try and just go out and win the game of football and see where it takes. See where you end up when everyone washes up at the end of the group. I think too much permutations, too much, and the third place thing kind of plays into that. But I think maybe, like you say, mentality should just be to go out there and win every. I know playing Germany in the first game is probably not ideal, but Switzerland obviously better. But tonight was a kind of encapsulation of that in terms of not going out and attacking the game, probably not having a setup that kind of allowed for that maybe.
Well, that's kind of something I wanted to touch on before we touch on the final game in the group and obviously look ahead to tomorrow. Like we have seen, I think one of the beauty of this tournament has been you have seen limited sides, like kind of just off the top of my head, like Slovakia, like probably not. I don't think at the level of player Scotland have got, and they've got a style. We know the way they've set up. They've got some joy out of the beat Belgium first game just by being very industrious, and again probably unlucky not to get a point against Ukraine, like Romania as well. Like there's sides there, and the one thing that's jumping out to me, Stuart, these teams have philosophies. These teams are not afraid to give it a go. I just found tonight, I don't think the manager is positive enough in these tournaments. You have to go into, these are 3 games, as I say. Only 8 teams in the group stage go out. So you have to gamble. You have to go for it. You can't be sitting here going, right, we need 2 right, if we get 2 points, we'll rely on luck to get through. That to me, if that was the approach, then that is ridiculous. But like Albania, for example, 2 games in, they've kind of really got a lot of joy out of kind of using wide areas, and they've done well in terms of their 2 games. Probably won't get through because they're up against a really good side in their next game, but they've come away with a lot more credit than Scotland have because they haven't been feared. They haven't been scared. I know they've not been scared to approach 3 sides, give it a go, try and get something out of. Again, it's 3 games, you have to gamble, and I've just at no point tonight did I feel that there was any risks. Like there was again too many safe passes, too many extra passes when there's shooting opportunities. That to me is that comes from a manager who has really, I mean, his whole approach and his whole career has been stability at the back. We don't. He's not an attacking manager. Now again, you have to be. He comes from obviously the Mourinho style, which is fine. But the way Mourinho got joy out in those sides is he had players up front, he had players in attacking areas who were just like Szoboszlai being a good example. Had geniuses in there who could get goals. He's not set up tonight. He's not set up to do that, and that's a problem. That's where. And again, I am coming off this very raw, and apologies in advance if this is going to be ranty, but I am sick to my stomach of this because tonight I feel this whole tournament, and I felt the last Euros we were too negative, and it's cost us. It's cost us getting a chance at going through. And I look at a manager sitting in the punditry table tonight, and I've said this the last show we did after the Scotland game. He would have got us through that group. I've no doubt about that. Is that harsh, or is that just raw after the game? Or I don't know. I do have that feeling. I can't get it out of my head that Steve Clarke is too negative, and we won't go any further under him. That's my assumption tonight. That's my concrete. I don't think I'll change that.
I think that's totally fair. I think that, yeah, like you said, harsh because to get to back Euros and beat Spain, have these big results, it feels kind of harsh. But like I think you always want to go. I think talking about the fans being there, and don't kind of leave these things with kind of regrets. And I think most of those players and they'll have regrets about how they've went about this. I think things have went against them in terms of maybe missing one or two players that would make a difference. The Germany game being first, Poacher sent off, all that kind of stuff. But I think pretty much every game, maybe Switzerland aside to some extent, they've said Scotland are too passive, Scotland are standing off too much. Whereas you talk about teams like Albania, they're in a group with Spain, Italy, and Croatia. But they've just went after teams, they went after them and just see where we go, see where we end up. If we end up getting, we've only got 3 games here, nobody's expecting anything. I mean, Scotland, yeah, there's a bit of expectation, but are we surprised we're sitting here having this conversation? 1 point after 3 games, probably not. So I think that somebody that would maybe have a bit more, I say freedom to attack, but just to be more aggressive, but put a bit more risk into the game at times. I know tonight's games, obviously, that was circumstantial that we'll go for it at some point. And like we've said, even when we did it, it was a bit kind of, these things are chaotic in the nature of how we do them. But even at that, there was some strange kind of calls within that. So yeah, I think hopefully we can still be going to these more regularly. But we're not going to make everyone. But when you get there, you just want to make more of an impact. And fair, you might end up in a kind of similar position, but give yourself half a chance. I just don't feel like you say, like you're maybe kind of saying there, that we're not giving ourselves the best chance. We're not going out there and trying to make a kind of put our kind of stamp on games. We're just kind of sitting off and kind of, we'll see how this goes. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, again, like I said, it's maybe a bit raw to it, but that's kind of the kind of along kind of similar lines to me. I think
the one thing that's kind of jumping out to me is that, let's say for example, you lost all 3 games, but I saw a philosophy. I saw some sort of forward tactical approach. I would be like, right, fair enough. It might take us a bit of time just to kind of tweak that and get it right. I think we'll be ready to go in a couple. I can't help but sit here tonight and think, when you set up to be so negative and like, I just, the Germany one jumped out because I didn't see anything other than we were allowing the likes of Jamal Musiala, who I've raved about for a long time, I think is one of the best players in the world in terms of just finding that pocket of space and being able to exploit it. When you're handing players like that space, and then Kroos is getting like one of the best ball retainers I think I've seen in my time watching football, giving him the space to do that. And Switzerland was a lot more. Switzerland was a lot better, just in terms of there was a lot more improvement. And then tonight, I just the first half, for example, like stats, I think are important. I don't think it'll be all and end all in terms of tonight, because I think tonight your eye tells you that tonight we didn't deserve to win that game, because there was no there was no risk. I mean, it's sore. It's very, very sore. I'll watch the game back, but it's one of those games like, and you can watch the game back and have different views, but it's one of those where I'll still think like there's just nothing there in terms of attacking one game. Like, do you know what I mean? Win the game tonight, you're through. Like, I've no doubt 4 points would have been enough. Like, the goal difference might have been a problem, but I don't see, like, as I say, the games between other sides are so close and so tight because they're matching each other, they're giving each other real chances. Like tonight, Hungary's approach, I looking at it, I thought at the time it was bizarre, but the more I think about it, Hungary's approach has worked because they'll have watched Scotland and thought, right, they don't really have the quality to break us down, and we will get chances, and they get a chance late on, they get a couple of chances before that. I thought Gunn, to be fair, after a poor first game, he's done well. He's covered himself in glory in the kind of last two games, so kind of fair play to him. Outside of that, though, like probably Gunn, Gilmer, maybe McTominay. I can't think of another Scotland player where I can go, right, they've had a positive tournament. Like I can't help but think after 3 games, a lot of the other players that have come on, and I think I've read only 17 of the 26 come on have played a part. That's problematic in itself, and that kind of shows a lack of trust. But I can't help but think that we've just not covered ourselves well, and I would much rather go out with some sort of positivity. Like again, like if Albania were to go out tomorrow night to Spain, lose the game, but I would still say Albania have shown me something in this tournament. I can't help but Scotland. We haven't showed we've not covered ourselves well in this stage.
No, it's just because you were speaking about the kind of shots and XG and stuff like that. I just wanted to have a wee look. So 4 shots tonight, 4 shots.
Yeah.
0.13. So we were, what was it? Germany, obviously circumstances.
0.02.
0.02, less than 1 against Switzerland. So we've racked up an XG of just 1.0 something, 1.01 or something.
And there'll not be a team in the tournament that'll be as low as that.
No, it was a lot. I think Alan Lawson had done the kind of XG differential thing, but after the first and second game, so that's not going to look pretty.
No.
After everyone's played their third games, it's probably going to be the lowest. I mean, no, we've not given up too much actually to Switzerland, and probably Hungary was, I don't know what it was. There was probably less than 1 as well tonight for them, just 1.02. But to have to for that to be, like you say, you can read too much into these things, but sometimes they can kind of encapsulate what you've kind of seen, and that just created nowhere near enough to get out of a group. Like you say, that you realistically only need to win 1 game to go through. So yeah. It's, I don't think there's any individuals that can, like you say, that probably bar 1 or 2 that can come out of it too well, but I think as a collective, it's when you kind of just look at those kind of quite cold, then there's the collective's not being anywhere near good enough either, unfortunately.
The other game in Group A saw Germany score a late goal from Nicholas Füllkrug to clinch top spot, and a 1-1 draw with Switzerland. Again, Switzerland will probably be as gutted as Scotland tonight, not getting top spot in that group. But obviously that means Germany move on to clinch top spot. Switzerland obviously through in second. Looking at the games that are coming up, both teams will play on Saturday. Switzerland will obviously play the Group B runner-up, which we'll talk about in a second. and Germany will face the runner-up in Group C, which could very much be England, but might not. I don't know if it will be, but again, Switzerland, Germany have impressed in the 3 games. Switzerland, I thought were good first game. I thought there was good points against Scotland. I haven't seen them tonight. I've just saw wee glimpses just looking back at goals just before we come on. Overall, 2 sides that will be fairly confident they can go further.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why probably that was such a good result against Switzerland. I think this is a kind of tournament hardened team, and they're probably not as good as they probably were. I wouldn't think, just off the top of my head from watching previous tournaments, but they've still got quality, and they've got a savvy manager, and like I say, they've done this before. I think Germany, and we obviously not had a chance to see much tonight myself either, but they've probably looked host nation get off to a flyer in terms of Scotland played Scotland, getting that big win, looking good against Hungary as well. But they're probably the one that look the most kind of coherent, I would think. I think in terms of the like we've kind of talked about in terms of structures and things like that, they've got that kind of Chris is going to drop off and dictate things from deep. You've got those kind of almost 3 number 10s in behind the Havertz, just the movement, rotations, all that kind of stuff. So I think they're given another host nation as well. I think you'd back them to go pretty far, no matter who they kind of play next, unless it's up with somebody like England. It might be a bit different when you're there in a kind of knockout football. But yeah, it's kind of hard to take kind of Scotland out, but Scotland out of that kind of the fact that we were the ones on the end of that on the night, but they probably do look like I say the most kind of coherent, the most they've got a kind of clear structure and a clear way they want to play, and Nagelsmann's pretty handy manager to have as well, and yeah, I'd back them to do pretty well.
And on to tomorrow night, we have 2 more games. We'll obviously have the conclusion of Group B. We have Albania, who we've mentioned probably quite a lot on here tonight. They will play Spain. Obviously, Spain going for 100% record in the group. In their game, obviously, Spain are through as group winners. We know that. But the other game in the group, Croatia and Italy. Italy, all they need is a point to clinch second spot. Interesting game. Again, I think Spain, obviously, they'll be. I see changes. Rodri, obviously, suspended. Albania, with nothing to fear, they'll be going for it. But I think Spain have just been very impressive. And we have to look at their wingers, like Sir Williams and Lamal. Been very, very good so far. What do you think of Spain? How impressed have you been with the way they've set up?
Yeah, that obviously a very kind of different looking Spain team that we've been used to for a long, long time. Kind of more just those kind of like you say the 2 wingers and being a bit more probably direct. And it was my stat a bit in the Croatia game. They had less of the ball for the first time in however many years in a tournament game. So yeah, they've got. I mean, Williams was absolutely superb the other night. Really, probably one of the standout performances of the tournament so far. Again, you look at who they've. I think Italy are pretty ordinary. Croatia look like they're kind of coming to the end of their cycle, kind of aging midfield. So they've not been tested yet. Some of these big teams like Germany as well, say probably haven't been tested either. So it can all kind of change when it gets into the knockouts. But they're probably the one that have looked really good at the midfield as well. Like you say, they'll probably make a few more changes. I would reckon if they're already through comfortably and Roger will miss out, maybe kind of rest 1 or 2 others. But yeah, like I say, even Ruiz and Pedri in the midfield, it's a lot of quality going forward. It's maybe just at the back for them there's kind of question marks. But yeah, I don't see Italy Croatia being a classic. But you never know.
Nah. And that'll be obviously very interesting. We'll find out that tomorrow night. We will be back on Tuesday night. Obviously, we'll be covering the England game, and we'll be covering the Group D as well. But tonight, all that's left to do is just sulk and just pick up another disappointing lip off the ground, which I think is going to be very, very tough tonight. Stuart, apologies, it's not been a good night to come on, but I've thoroughly enjoyed your company and I very much appreciate you coming on, mate.
No worries, thanks. It's probably been getting feel a wee bit more kind of a few things off, so hopefully, we'll see. Yeah, it might be a bit numb for a couple of days, but
yeah, it's definitely going to sting. Thank you very much to everyone that's tuned in, folks. We will be back on Wednesday morning where we will cover the rest of the games over Monday and Tuesday. Thank you very much, folks. We'll see you all soon.